Have you ever found yourself wide awake at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling, wondering why sleep just slipped away? For millions of older women in the U.S., waking up between 3 and 5 a.m. isn't just a random nuisance. According to sleep experts at the National Institutes of Health, NIH, it could be your body's subtle way of signaling a deeper imbalance, whether it's stress hormone shifts or emotional overload. But here's the twist. What if this early morning wake-up call was actually an opportunity? A quiet moment to realign with your body, soothe your mind, and gently guide yourself back to restful sleep naturally. In today's video, we'll walk through 9 simple yet powerful things you can do during this window of time. And trust me, tip 4 might be the game changer you never knew you needed. Before we dive in, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Senior Life so you never miss the wellness advice your body's been craving. The first thing I strongly recommend you do is don't get up right away. Stay lying down for a few minutes. As a geriatric doctor, I've seen this situation play out more times than I can count, especially among women over 65. It's 3 or 4 in the morning. You wake up maybe to use the bathroom or just from a restless night. Without thinking, your legs swing off the side of the bed and you push yourself up to stand. But within seconds, your vision blurs. Your head starts spinning and suddenly your knees feel like they're made of rubber. What just happened? That's called orthostatic hypotension, a sudden drop in blood pressure when you shift from lying down to standing. It's not rare. In fact, studies show that up to 20% of people over age 65 experience this regularly. But most don't even know they have it until they fall. And here's where it gets scary. According to the National Institute on Aging 1 in 4, Americans aged 65 and older falls each year. That's roughly 36 million falls annually. Of those, over 32,000 lead to death, yes, just from a fall. And a large portion of these incidents happen at night or early in the morning when your blood pressure is at its lowest and your body's reflexes are still waking up. But it doesn't stop at just broken bones or bruises. The real danger runs deeper. A 2020 study published in JAMA Internal Medicine found that orthostatic hypotension increases the risk of long-term cognitive decline by up to 40%. Why? Because every time your blood pressure drops like that, your brain gets less oxygen. Imagine flicking the lights off and on again and again. Over time, those mini blackouts damage brain cells. You might not notice it right away, but years later it shows up as forgetfulness, confusion, or even dementia. Think about that for a second. It's not just a harmless dizzy spell. It's a sign that your brain isn't getting what it needs to stay sharp and healthy. And yet it's preventable. The body needs transition time. You've been horizontal for hours, your blood has pooled in the lower parts of your body. When you suddenly stand, your heart and blood vessels may not respond fast enough to push blood back up to your brain. That's when the trouble begins. This is why I always advise my patients, when you wake up, don't rush. First, just lie there for a moment. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Take a few slow, deep breaths. Then slowly prop yourself up to a sitting position. Sit on the edge of the bed with your feet flat on the floor for at least 30 to 60 seconds. Let your body catch up. Only then should you stand gently holding onto a nearby surface if you need to. It sounds simple, right? But this tiny change in habit could mean the difference between independence and a hospital stay, or worse. So please, if you or someone you love is over 65, take this seriously. You don't have to be afraid of the night or early morning anymore. Just give your body a moment to adjust. That pause might just save your brain, your balance, and your life. Step 2. Take deep, slow breaths for 1 to 2 minutes. Would you believe me if I told you that just 2 minutes of proper deep breathing can lower your blood pressure, ease anxiety, improve sleep, and even protect your memory. Let's talk science. According to Harvard Health Publishing 2020, slow and deep breathing helps significantly reduce levels of cortisol, your body's main stress hormone. And that's a big deal. High cortisol at night is linked to poor sleep, elevated blood pressure, and long-term memory issues in older adults. One study published in the Journal of Gerontology found that just 5 minutes a day of deep breathing practiced consistently for 6 weeks led to a 25% reduction in anxiety among older adults. Participants also reported sleeping better and showed higher nighttime oxygen levels, an essential factor in brain health and cardiovascular function. But it gets even more interesting. Deep breathing triggers what's known as the parasympathetic nervous system, basically your body's rest and recover mode. When this system kicks in, your heart rate slows down, blood pressure drops, and more oxygen-rich blood flows to your brain. It's like flipping a switch from chaos to calm. Your body knows how to heal it, just needs the right signal. According to the National Institutes of Health, NIH regular deep breathing exercises in people over 65 can reduce the risk of stroke and heart disease by up to 20%. Think about that. No expensive medication, no complicated routines, just your breath. So why does this actually work, especially for older adults? As we age, our nervous system becomes more sensitive, more reactive, and honestly, a little less efficient. The pressure sensors in our arteries called baroreceptors are responsible for keeping our blood pressure steady and helping us stay calm under stress. But here's the catch. These sensors naturally weaken with age. That's why so many seniors wake up in the middle of the night with a racing heart, shallow breathing, or a sudden sense of panic, even if there's no real danger. Now, here's the beauty of deep breathing. It gives your aging nervous system a gentle reset. When you take a slow, deep inhale and then an even longer exhale, you're literally telling your body, hey, it's safe. You can relax now. This action helps rebalance your baroreceptors, restore calm, and lower that unnecessary adrenaline rush that often hits around 3 a.m. And it's not just about feeling calmer. A 2022 study from the University of California, San Francisco, found that mindful breathing just a few minutes a day led to significant improvements in memory and emotional regulation in older adults. In fact, the effect was comparable to taking a low-dose antidepressant without the side effects. This is why I always tell my patients, if you wake up in the middle of the night, don't panic. Stay still. Sit up or lie back comfortably. Place one hand on your belly. Inhale slowly through your nose. Feel your belly rise. Then exhale even slower through your mouth. Feel everything soften. Try this for just 10 slow breaths. No equipment, no medication, just your breath. And trust me, your brain, your heart, even your digestion will thank you for it. Step 3 is also quite interesting, and something I often recommend to older adults: hydrate smartly. Not all water is created equal, especially when you're over 60 and waking up at 3 a.m. What you drink and how you drink it can either soothe your body or stress it out. As a geriatric doctor, I always tell my patients smart hydration isn't just about drinking more water. It's about drinking the right kind of water at the right time in the right way, especially during those early morning hours when your body is most vulnerable. According to a 2021 report from the National Institutes of Health, NIH, nearly 40% of adults over 65 in the U.S. are chronically underhydrated, often without realizing it. Dehydration in seniors is linked to fatigue, poor balance, kidney strain, cognitive fog, and even increased risk of stroke. And yet the way most people try to fix it, chugging cold water or sugary drinks, isn't ideal. So what should you actually drink? Warm or room temperature water is much gentler on the aging digestive system. The Cleveland Clinic warns that cold water can constrict blood vessels, irritate sensitive stomach linings, and disrupt early morning digestion. That's especially true for older adults whose gastric motility slows with age, making them more prone to reflux and cramping. Better yet, add a pinch of unrefined mineral salt like Celtic or Himalayan salt. These natural salts contain over 80 trace minerals your body needs to regulate blood pressure, nerve function, and hydration balance. Unlike table salt, they support electrolyte levels without spiking sodium dangerously high. A 2018 meta-analysis from the Journal of Clinical Nutrition highlighted that even mild electrolyte imbalance can impair cognitive function in older adults. Alternatively, a few drops of fresh lemon add vitamin C and aid liver detoxification while gently stimulating bile production. This supports digestion and helps you feel lighter and more awake without caffeine. But what if you do wake up in the middle of the night? Instead of reaching for your phone or tossing and turning, try a cup of chamomile tea. It's one of the most gentle natural remedies I recommend to my older patients, and there's real science behind it. In a 2019 clinical study published in the Journal of Advanced Nursing, older adults who drank chamomile tea twice a day reported better sleep quality, reduced nighttime awakenings, and lower anxiety levels. Chamomile works by increasing glycine, a neurotransmitter that helps naturally relax your muscles and calm the nervous system, making it easier to drift back to sleep. But here's an important tip: sip slowly. Don't chug it down. Drinking too quickly, especially if your blood pressure is already low in the early morning, can lead to bloating, nausea, or even lightheadedness. Remember, your kidneys and digestion slow down overnight. Give them time to wake up too. Let's break down the benefits of warm fluids like herbal tea or plain warm water on each part of your body. Brain warm water plus a pinch of natural electrolytes like a tiny bit of salt or lemon helps rehydrate your brain, improving clarity and focus when you wake up. Heart: a slow intake of warm liquid can support steady blood pressure, reducing the risk of irregular heartbeat in the early hours. Kidneys: after 6 to 8 hours of slower overnight function, warm fluids help flush out toxins and gently restart filtration without shock to the system. Digestion: warm tea can naturally stimulate gut movement, reducing constipation and promoting regular bowel habits, something many older adults struggle with. So if you're lying awake at 3 a.m., don't panic. Keep a small thermos by your bedside. Take a few calming breaths. Sip. Pause. Breathe. You'll be amazed at how such a small ritual can shift your entire night and your morning. Step 4 may seem simple, but it can truly soothe your space and help you fall back into deeper sleep. Use a nightlight with soft, warm yellow light. I've seen it firsthand how something as simple as light can deeply impact the health of older adults, especially after age 65, when the body's natural production of melatonin, the sleep hormone, starts to decline. Melatonin is what tells your brain it's time to wind down. But light, especially blue light and harsh white LED light, can completely shut that signal down, throwing off your internal clock. And this isn't just theory, it's backed by science. According to the Sleep Foundation, exposure to blue light from LED bulbs and screens can delay melatonin release by up to 90 minutes, clearly disrupting sleep quality, especially in older adults. A 2021 clinical study published in the Journal of Biological Rhythms found that exposure to blue light between 10 p.m. And 4 a.m. increased nighttime awakenings by 54% in people over 60. That's not just tossing and turning, that's your biology being confused. So how does this affect your body? At night, your pineal gland is supposed to produce melatonin once your brain senses darkness. But modern lighting, especially cool-toned LEDs, sends the wrong signal. It tells your brain, hey, it's still daytime, melatonin production shuts down. This doesn't just wreck your sleep. It also messes with your blood pressure hormone balance and even blood sugar levels. That's right. The wrong kind of light at night can raise your glucose and blood pressure, especially if you already have underlying health issues. That's why I always advise my older patients switch to warm, low-level lighting at night. Use a soft amber or dim yellow night light, ideally under 50 lumens. These warm tones mimic firelight or sunset natural signals that help your brain shift into rest mode. According to the National Institutes of Health, NIH amber light has minimal impact on melatonin and supports better sleep regulation in older adults. So before you blame your sleepless nights on aging, check your light bulbs. Sometimes the glow in your room might be the very thing keeping your body from resting the way it was meant to. Step 5. Check in with your emotions. You might be feeling anxious or sad. A large 2021 study published in the Journal of Affective Disorders found that adults over 60 with high levels of suppressed anxiety or sadness were nearly 4 times more likely to wake up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. compared to those with more stable emotional well-being. And here's the key point: these wake-ups weren't caused by food medication or health conditions. They were caused by emotions that hadn't been released. But why does this happen? When we sleep, our brains cycle through different phases: light sleep, deep sleep, and REM rapid eye movement. REM sleep is when the brain processes emotional memories and stress. But if your mind is overwhelmed with grief that hasn't been expressed, guilt you're holding on to, or deep worry about the future, this emotional data processing can break down or stall. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, NIMH emotional stress during sleep causes cortisol levels, your body's main stress hormone, to rise. And cortisol doesn't peak during the day, it often spikes between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m., right when your brain needs deep healing sleep. That's why many older adults wake up suddenly during those hours, heart-pounding, mind-racing, and no idea why. And this isn't just about losing sleep. Long-term emotional stress during sleep can damage your health in very real ways. Research from Harvard Medical School and UCLA shows that older adults under chronic emotional strain face a 30% higher risk of memory decline, have twice the risk of developing heart disease, experience weaker immune function, and higher levels of body-wide inflammation, as shown by elevated CRP levels. So what can we actually do about this? One of the simplest and most powerful tools I recommend is keeping an emotional journal, just a small notebook by your bedside. That's it. No fancy apps, no pressure to write a novel, just a safe space to unload your thoughts before sleep. Write down what's been bothering you, what you're afraid of, what you're grateful for, or simply what's on your to-do list for tomorrow. Pair that with a few deep breaths and a gentle affirmation like, "Whatever I didn't finish today, I can handle tomorrow." This tiny habit can work wonders. In fact, a 2017 randomized controlled study from Baylor University found that people who spent just 5 minutes each night writing down their worries or unfinished tasks fell asleep 37% faster, had fewer nighttime awakenings. That's not just feeling better, that's real, measurable improvement in sleep. Because here's the truth. Your brain doesn't like loose ends. It wants to organize, process, and let go. But if you go to bed with your mind still spinning, your brain will keep working all night, even when your body wants to rest. Step 6 is something most of us tend to overlook, but in my experience, it can be surprisingly effective for some people. Read a physical book or listen to soft, calming music. For older adults, waking in the middle of the night isn't unusual. In fact, a study from the American Academy of Sleep Medicine found that nearly 50% of adults over 65 experience at least one midnight awakening 3 or more times a week. But what makes the difference isn't whether you wake, it's what you do next. Trying to force yourself to sleep can activate what psychologists call performance anxiety. It raises heart rate spikes, cortisol, and keeps the brain in problem-solving mode. But controlled calming activities, like reading a paper book or listening to soft music, help flip the nervous system back into parasympathetic rest and digest mode, lowering stress and setting the stage for natural sleep to return. Let's talk reading first. In a 2019 survey by Sleep Council UK, 42% of older adults who read before bed reported better sleep quality compared to only 19% of non-readers. Why? Because reading quietly, especially fiction, creates a soft focus for the brain. It's just enough stimulation to distract you from intrusive thoughts, but not enough to keep you mentally wired. Importantly, always choose a physical book, not an e-reader or phone. Blue light from screens suppresses melatonin by 38% according to Harvard Medical School. That disruption can delay the return to sleep by up to an hour, especially in adults whose natural melatonin production is already declining with age. Now, let's talk music. According to a 2020 meta-analysis in the Journal of the American Geriatrics Society, listening to calming music for 30-45 minutes before bed improved total sleep time by 35 minutes on average for adults over 60. Genres like classical slow jazz, nature sounds, or ambient piano were shown to reduce resting heart rate by 5-7 BPM and lower cortisol levels by 10 to 15%, helping the body transition gently back into sleep. I always suggest music without lyrics, especially for those who wake with a racing mind. Language activates the left side of the brain, which is great for daytime, but a sleep disruptor at night. Let me share a patient story. One of my patients, Teresa, 68, from Colorado, used to wake up at 4 a.m. with her brain on fire, as she put it, replaying conversations, worrying about her adult children staring at the clock. I recommended she try reading 2 pages of her favorite mystery novel and then play 20 minutes of instrumental cello music at low volume. Within 10 days, she reported feeling less scared of waking up and more in control of her nights. By week 3, she said, "I feel like I'm gently rocking myself back to sleep." The benefits go far beyond sleep. Brain-controlled relaxation lowers nighttime cortisol and reduces mental overactivity, which may support memory and mood regulation. Cardiovascular system music and reading reduce heart rate variability, HRV, which is linked to better cardiovascular resilience in older adults. Muscle relaxation. Light music has been shown to reduce nighttime muscle tension, particularly in patients with arthritis or restless legs syndrome. Step 7. Avoid checking your phone or looking at the clock repeatedly. As a geriatric physician, I've worked with thousands of older adults struggling with nighttime awakenings. And one of the most common but overlooked sleep disruptors is something almost everyone does without thinking, glancing at the clock or picking up the phone. It seems harmless. But for the aging brain, these little actions carry big consequences. Let's start with what the science says. A landmark 2022 study published in the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine found that time monitoring behavior, checking the clock during periods of wakefulness, was strongly associated with increased stress, longer sleep latency, and greater likelihood of chronic insomnia. In fact, participants who frequently checked the time during the night were up to 2.5 times more likely to report feeling anxious and mentally alert right when they should be winding down. Now layer that with the light factor. Looking at your phone or any digital clock with a backlit display exposes your eyes to blue wavelength light. According to Harvard Medical School, just 5 minutes of blue light exposure at night can suppress melatonin production by over 30%, delaying the natural onset of sleep by up to an hour. Seniors are especially vulnerable to this because melatonin levels naturally decline, with age making them more sensitive to disruptions in circadian rhythms. So the more often you check the clock, the longer it may take you to fall back asleep, and the more frustrated you become. So here's my advice. Not just as a doctor, but as someone who's been there. Don't keep the clock in your direct line of sight. Watching the minutes tick by only adds pressure and makes it harder to fall back asleep. Keep your phone out of reach. Even moving it just an arm's length away can help. The blue light. The temptation to scroll it all wakes your brain up when it should be winding down. Use blackout curtains or a warm-colored nightlight. These help reduce visual stimulation and gently signal to your brain that it's time to rest, not stay alert. And most importantly, remind yourself, sleep is not a race to win, it's a return to peace. Some nights may be restless, that's okay. The goal isn't perfect sleep, it's gentle rest without judgment. And the more you create the right environment for your body and your emotions, the more your nights will heal you instead of haunt you. Step 8 is something I advise all seniors to pay attention to. Don't grab a late-night snack right away, unless you're experiencing low blood sugar. According to the Cleveland Clinic, eating after 9 p.m. increases the risk of acid reflux by 55%, and it's one of the top causes of nighttime awakenings in seniors. When you lie down after eating, gravity no longer helps keep stomach contents in place, making it easier for acid to flow back up the esophagus. This can lead to heartburn, belching, bloating, and a feeling of heaviness that disrupts sleep. A 2020 study from the American Gastroenterological Association found that over 40% of adults over age 65 experience nocturnal reflux at least once a week, and the risk doubles if they eat within 2 hours of going to bed. Reflux isn't just uncomfortable, it also increases the risk of chronic inflammation in the esophagus, which can affect digestion and nutrient absorption. Over time. That's not all. Late-night eating can also disturb blood sugar regulation, especially in older adults with prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. A 2019 study published in Diabetologia reported that glucose tolerance drops significantly in the evening and overnight, meaning the same snack eaten at 2 p.m. is processed very differently than one at 2 a.m. Nighttime snacking was linked to higher fasting, glucose insulin resistance, and even weight gain over time. And let's talk about sleep itself. According to Harvard Medical School, eating during nighttime awakenings can shift your circadian rhythm, making your body think it's morning. This confuses the brain's sleep-wake cycle and reduces REM sleep, which is critical for memory and emotional regulation. One of my patients, Gloria, a 71-year-old retired nurse from North Carolina, used to grab a cookie or a slice of toast every time she woke up during the night. It calmed me down, she said, but she'd also wake up bloated, sluggish, and unable to fall back asleep. We tried something different, a warm, caffeine-free herbal tea and deep breathing. Within 10 days, she was sleeping through more nights and stopped needing her antacids. So how can you tell if you're truly hungry or just looking for comfort? Real hunger usually builds slowly. It feels like a gentle emptiness in your belly, not just a craving or a bored mouth. If your hands feel shaky, you're a little lightheaded, or it's been more than 6 to 7 hours since your last meal, then a small, gentle snack may help. Choose something light and easy on the stomach, like half a banana, a small handful of almonds, a spoonful of plain yogurt, but try to avoid sugary or carb-heavy snacks. They can spike your insulin and actually cause you to wake up again later in the night more tired than before. My advice: if you're not truly hungry, don't eat. Try a warm glass of water or a cup of chamomile tea instead. Let your digestive system rest so your whole body can rest. Sometimes it's not hunger you're feeling. It's just your body asking for comfort. Step 9. Do some gentle stretching or try lying down meditation. For older adults, nighttime awakenings are common, but what you do during those wakeful moments can determine whether you fall back asleep or stay restless until sunrise. One powerful low-effort strategy I recommend to my patients is gentle stretching or lying meditation, especially if you're feeling tense or mentally overactive. Research from Johns Hopkins Medicine confirms that light physical movement, such as stretching in bed, activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the part of the body responsible for rest and digest. This helps lower heart rate, ease muscle tension, and quiet mental chatter. Stretching also boosts serotonin, a brain chemical that promotes calm and stabilizes mood, making it easier for the brain to transition back into sleep. A randomized clinical trial published in Sleep Health 2021 found that adults over 60 who practiced 5 minutes of light stretching or guided body scan meditation before bed experienced 36% faster return to sleep after waking, 42% fewer nighttime awakenings overall, and reported significantly improved sleep satisfaction after just 10 days. That's not all. A separate NIH-backed study from 2020 found that mindful movement practices like yoga stretches or body awareness meditations were associated with lower nighttime cortisol levels, improved heart rate variability, and better sleep architecture, meaning more time in deep and REM sleep. Let me share a patient story. Harold, 75, from Des Moines, used to describe his nights as long, stiff, and frustrating. He would wake up around 3:30 a.m., his joints aching, his mind spiraling. We started a simple routine. While lying in bed, he'd bring one knee gently to his chest, roll his ankles, stretch his arms overhead, then place one hand on his stomach and focus on breathing slowly in and out. I also had him repeat a calming affirmation like, "I'm okay. My body is allowed to relax." Within 1 week, Harold reported waking up fewer times, and when he did, he felt less reactive, more in control. His back pain decreased. His mornings were calmer, and for the first time in years, he didn't dread going to bed. Stretching works not because it cures insomnia, but because it tells the nervous system to shift gears. It gives your mind and muscles permission to soften. Even 2 to 3 minutes of gentle movement, neck rolls, shoulder shrugs, toe points can regulate your breathing and anchor you in the present moment. For those who feel mentally restless, lying down meditation is equally powerful. A Harvard Medical School review notes that non-sleep deep rest (NSDR), such as guided body scans or breath-focused meditation, can mimic the neural benefits of sleep and reduce sleep onset latency by up to 48% in older adults. Pro tip: avoid standing stretches if you're dizzy or prone to nighttime falls. Stay lying down. Keep lights dim or off. Let this be a body whisper, not a workout. So the next time you find yourself staring at the ceiling between 3 and 5 a.m., don't see it as a curse. See it as a whisper from your body, a gentle nudge saying, "Take care of me." From pausing before getting out of bed to sipping warm mineral water, dimming the lights, stretching gently, and even writing down your emotions, each of these 9 steps isn't just a sleep aid, it's a quiet form of healing. Start with just one tonight. Listen to what your body needs. And remember, you're not alone in this journey. If any of these tips helped you, or if you have your own secret for sleeping better, I'd love to hear it in the comments. And hey, if you found this video helpful, please like it, share it with someone you care about, and gently tap that subscribe button to stay connected with Senior Life. We're here for your health, your rest, and your peace of mind every step of the way.